Matches, that's what it is, man. So we start with kindergarten, just giving you guys some ideas about what you can be doing with your kids while you're at home. I know people are doing this, but I'm just keeping it real with you. Kindergarten, number recognition. Kids need to know what the numbers are. And I would suggest going from numbers 1 to about 30, something like that, so they can see all the numbers. So they need to know what numbers, what 1 look like, what 8 look like, what 9 look like, and be able to point it out. That's a 7, that's a 12, or that's an 8, or you know what I mean? So that's important. Also, counting to 110. Parents get excited when kids count to 100. That don't really mean nothing. Let's get them to 110. That way they know after 100, those numbers start over again. Also, they need to know that transition between 19, 20, 39, 40. See, that's a big deal right there. So work with them on that. Kindergarten, also, like I said, they need to be able to do their work around 11 o'clock. So you want to go ahead and let them get up and move around, get them something to eat, let them mess up their face with food and all that. Then you can start working with them. All right, let's go move on to first grade. So first grade, we're going to say first grade. Oh, yeah. First grade. I would say the main thing with first grade is, to me, you want to be able to let them add using, I'm about to put a cue. They want to add, what up, man? What's up? I can't see who on here. All I can see is you, this camera. Okay, add using objects. So when I say add using objects, I want you to take something that they really like. You can take like 1 marker plus 2 markers equals 3 markers. So back from the kindergarten, they should know how to count and know what numbers look like and all that. So adding using objects, not just adding and they just knowing it. Let them add using some objects. Also let them subtract using some objects. Taking stuff away. So I don't know what words you use with subtraction. I would use words like remove 3, remove 2, subtracted by. That's weird. Here we go. Another thing you can do with your first grader. They need to know which numbers are bigger and smaller. Like which numbers are bigger or smaller. I'm writing on that weird, but what numbers are bigger and smaller? So I would say, like, if you tell them 10 and tell them, give me a number that's bigger than 10, and they say 8, and they be like, no. So I'm just saying, no. All right, so they need to know what numbers are bigger and smaller, and I would use numbers between, I would say 1 to 20. 1 to 20, okay? Numbers that are bigger and smaller, between 1 and 20, and just work with them on that and just see how well they know those numbers. They need to know that 15 is bigger than 8, and 8 is smaller than 9. They need to know that. Even though they know how to count, they still don't know what number placement it is. You may get them to write them down, like, let me write this down quick. So if you write the numbers down, like 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then they can see the numbers in order, they can say, well, which one is smaller? And they need to know smaller is this way and bigger is that way. So you ask them, is 8 bigger than 10? And they say, well, 10 is more this way, so 10 is bigger. Okay, so that's a good idea for first graders. They need to know that because of my next one. Okay, they need to know what's bigger and smaller, because let's go ahead and move to second grade. Second grade is, I feel like second grade is the most important grade. And my son is in second grade, he's 8 years old, so I mean, he learned so much this year. He learned so much. And in order to get him ahead, these are the main three things. These are the main three things that a second grader needs to know, either going into second grade or while they're in second grade. Now, completing second grade is different. So I'm giving you stuff that they need to know while they're in the grade, not are they going to the grade, not you need to know this by the end of the year. Well, it's tough right now because they're not in. So half of the things that they need to know, they're not going to know it. So let's just focus on what they can learn while they're in school. So the first thing with second graders, subtraction. Big deal. Subtraction, because subtraction is one of those things that they just got to know it. Like, the subtraction. And what I was talking about in the first grade is about the numbers being, you need to know what number is bigger, because when they subtract them, they don't want to subtract 8 minus 12. And kids will do that if they don't know what the difference is. So now if they know the difference between 12 and 10, and that 12 is bigger, they're going to do, 12 minus 10, not 10. 10 minus 12. So they got to know that. All right. So I'm just trying to get you to see how things are progressing. Another thing that's important in second grade, I don't know who's on here, but I'm more of a, hey, what's happening? But right now I need to go ahead and make sure I get all this stuff in. So subtraction. The next thing that a second grader needs to know. Second grader needs to know how to skip count. Put a star by that. Skip counting is a gateway. It's a gate. I almost said the wrong thing. It's a gateway to multiplication. Now y'all know I'm big on multiplication, so this is the foundation of multiplication. Skip count. And I would do skip counting with numbers like 2, 3, 4, 5, and 10. That's the only ones I can recommend that you do at that point. So 2, 3, 4, 5, and 10. If they can learn how to count by 2s, boom, 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 with all 10 fingers, and they can count by 3s with all 10 fingers, 4s, 5s, and 10s, that'll set them up good for multiplication. So if they learn those numbers go in that order and they can count, what's 5 times 5? They'll say 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. And they'll say, well, what's 3 times 4? And they'll say, they can be able to count, skip count. It'll be 3, 6, 9, 12. Is it 12? And they either, is it? Oh, it is. Oh my God. That's a great feeling that you get as a parent. Whenever your kid learns something and like they ask you and you like, yeah, that's it. So one of the last things with second grade, my son is in second grade, like I said already. And math in second grade is, it's been pretty tough. All right. So I would say second grade, and I would say story problems. When I say story problems, and you may have to get into character with your kids and say that people always use Johnny. Well, Johnny had 7 apples, and he gave 3 apples to Thomas. How many apples did he have left? You can put in your own words, whatever you want to do. We had 10 bags of chips in the pantry. Your brother took 3 bags of chips. How many bags of chips they got left? Just you do whatever you like. So I just want you to know that you need to do it just like that. Whatever fits your child. Don't try to do everybody the same. Do your kids different. All right, that's for second grade. Skip counting. All right, subtraction. Not anything with subtraction with with borrowing. No, they need to know that in second grade, but this just regular old subtraction. All right, because they need to recognize what numbers are bigger and what small. Okay. Story problems, big deal. Story problem, big deal. I'm about to go back in and check the camera and make sure it's still working because Facebook been tripping on everybody. And then we're gonna go to third grade. Still rolling. Third grade. This is it. Multiplication, right? Division. Also third graders doing problems and knowing what operation to use. So I'm about to write this stuff down, but this is important. If there's anybody that needs me to come and bring you a multiplication chart so you can do this with your kids and they can learn this chart, I'll bring it to you. So send me a message right now, or whenever you get a chance. Send me a message and I'll give you a call. And you don't gotta send me an address, just send me a number. I'll call you and I'll bring it to you. It's that serious to me. I know you got the coronavirus and stuff, but I mean, you need this. Like, you need this because this is something that can really help your kids progress over this little break that we're going on. So send me a message. I'm telling you right now. I can multiply. I hope you can. So third grade. Pull out the big board for third grade. All right. So third grade, you need to know how to multiply. Shout out to all the elementary school teachers. They teach multiplication so many ways. And I'm going to give you some ones that I need you to work on with your kids. With multiplication, I just feel like the most important multiplication facts. I'm going to give them to you. And this is me, this is my professional opinion. This is personal opinion also. So I would say the twos, that's important. And they should know one. All right, I say the twos, the fours, the fives, the nines, and the 12. Those are the ones I think are very important. Those are the ones that really give kids trouble. Not the twos, that's why I put a different color. Fours, fives sometimes, 9s and 12s. Yeah. Third graders need to know these. They need to know all of them. Like I said, if you need me to bring, I have plenty multiplication charts. That ain't not a problem. Yeah, so I got plenty of these, so you ain't gotta worry about that. I'll bring them to you. I'll bring you however many kids you got. You got 10 kids. Well, if you got 10 kids, I'll bring you 10 of them. If you got 5 kids and you got 2 kids over there from your sister or brother, and then you watching them too, I'll bring you that man 7, okay? So that's one thing with third grade. Division. Division is important. Make sure your kids know their division just like they know their multiplication. All right, tell them to say it to you. Flip the numbers around and let them learn it like that. If they know 5 times 2 is 10, let them know that 2 times 5 is 10 also. You know, don't make them do it all over. Write them all together. See, we used to write it like this. And I mean, everybody gonna be like, yeah, remember that. So we used to be like, 3 times 4 equals 12. And our teacher made us write 4 times 3 equals 12. And then she also made us write 12 divided by 3 equals 4. And 12 divided by 4 equals 3. That's what we learned. But now they have these array and they draw the stuff and they flip it around and say, draw it a different way, and you know, that's fine. But if they know the logistics of it like this first, then they can be able to know what numbers go with what numbers and which way to draw with the rows and the columns and yeah. Okay, so third grade is this. Also, another thing in third grade, I just think they need to know. They need to know some of the metric stuff, like what is a centimeter, you know, meter, gram. You know what I'm saying? Is that how you put gram? I don't know. So you put gram. That's just a G. Okay, gram, a liter. Give me something else. I don't know. Oh, kilo. kilometer, kilogram, kilo this. I hope they kill a virus. Millimeter, different stuff like that. Just let they know that. They need to know cups, cups, paints. Oh man, that's crazy stuff. They got this thing online. You can do the metric man and stuff. You can make that. Cups, paints, gallons. What else? Cups, paints, gallons. I don't do a lot of that. I only do it when like they come here with it. Teaspoons? Alright, so this is third grade. Third grade. Okay, and third grade is the first grade that they do in the LEAP test. I think they said they're gonna not take the LEAP test. I don't know. But I'm not quoting that. People be saying I said that. I just feel like they shouldn't have to, but hey, I don't make those calls. But I'm not gonna say it's above my pay grade. I'm gonna just say I'm the one in the classrooms, so we should be making the decision. But oh well. So third grade is multiplication. Same thing with fourth grade, multiplication. Fourth graders really need to know when to use multiplication, when to use add, subtract, divide. So really, for fourth grade, I would put word problems, using all operations. I'm not good at it right now. I am, but not today. Okay. Word problems using all operations. That's just like, look it up. I mean, some word problems, like, you don't got to create them. That's not like the first grade. So you need to find someone there that'll let them, so they will have to figure out, am I multiplying, subtracting, divide? Am I doing two different things? Do I have to add them up and then subtract? And then, you know what I'm saying? So you gotta know, they need to know those words like difference, sum, product, quotient. Big deal. All right, so that's with the word problems. Also, they need to know, let's say I said multiplication, division. They need to know that like really, really well by fourth grade. They should be like masters. All right. All right. Oh, sorry. Fourth grade is fractions, and I mean fractions not super deep, but I mean fractions like they need to know what 1/2 look like. These are the ones that are important. Okay, 1/3. 1/4, 1/5, 1/10. Okay, those are some. Okay, 2. I had to throw this one in there. 2/3. Yeah, that's a big deal. These right here: 1/2, 1/3, 1/4, 1/5, 1/10. 2/3. Oh yeah, 2/3. And they need to know that any number, any fraction with the same number on the top and the bottom equals 1. So they need to know like 8/8 equals 1. They also need to know that 64/64 equals 1. So any number with the same number is 1. That's a big deal. So y'all need to, I think this is enough for fourth grade. Like this, you need to know this like really bad. We can't bog them down, man, and just go crazy. So fourth grade. All right. Fifth grade. I like fifth grade. Fifth grade. Fifth grade is a grade when you like you don't know what you're doing. You just like it's like everything that you did already, and then they trying to get you ready for sixth grade, middle school. So the first thing with fifth grade, I would be like, simplifying fractions. Big deal. So what I mean by that, they can be like 8 over 12. If it's 8 over 12, they don't need to know that 8 over 12 is 8 over 12. They need to know how can I make this smaller? How can I simplify 8 over 12? They need to know their multiplication and division so well so they know what number can go into these two, the biggest number that can go. So we can all say 2, yay! Then you have to do it like 4 times in order to get it. So let's just say the biggest number would be, they would have to divide by 4 on both of them. And when I say equivalent, I mean equivalent. So 8 divided by 4 would be 2. 12 divided by 4 is 3. So that would be the answer, but therefore, you know what I'm saying? You don't have to, it's simple. It's real simple. You want them to know that. Now you can look at these and say, can I do, you can't do anything with these, you know? So therefore, now you're looking at the simplest form right there. All right, simplifying fractions. 4th grade is a lot of stuff. Fifth grade is a lot of stuff. I'm trying to figure out what's some things that's very important. Oh man, it's so much. They be trying to bog them down in the 5th grade. All right, I would say practice this with your 5th graders because these type of things come up. Multiplying 2 by 2. Multiply a 2 by 2. Alright. Multiplying 2 by 2, that means like 35 times 24. You know what I'm saying? To make a song out of it. Up, over, add a placeholder, over, up. That's simple. So you multiply this and that, and then you multiply, put your little placeholder. We forgot about that placeholder when we was in school. Everything I'm telling you out there, there's no calculators. So I would encourage you not to use calculators. So I'm trying to give you things that you can do without calculators. So I'm multiplying 2 by 2s. All right. So you just simply say 4 times 5 is 20. You put a 2 here. So 4 times 3 is 12, plus the 2 is 14. See that? Now it's that spot where you add a placeholder, which is a 0 here, and then you get rid of this, because that was with the last part. So then 2 times 5 is 10, put a 0, put a 1, that's the whole 10. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 plus 1 is 7. So then you add them up, and then you'll get 0, 4, 8. So it's 840. That ain't bad. I ain't done that in a long time. No calculator, so you can use calculator to check the answer. That'd be cool. So this is the main thing for 5th grade. Multiplying 2 by 2, 3 by 3, whatever. The smarter your kid is, the bigger you can go with that point. The bigger fractions you can go with. Start small and just let it grow. See what they know. Once again, if you need a multiplication chart, I will bring one to your house. Drop it off and leave, and you ain't even gotta come to the door. So no corona. You can sanitize it. It's laminated. If I bring you one, you can sanitize it. We can sanitize it and then bring it in the house. Whatever you want to do. Okay, 5th grade. Now, 6th grade is the first grade I ever taught. 6th grade. Tag somebody that has a middle school kid, because all these things are going to sound alike. 6th grade, they start to learn some algebra stuff. So therefore, in 6th grade, you also wanted to know positive positive and negative numbers. This can take you 20 hours. Okay? So you can just draw them a little number line. Draw your kids a little number line. Draw your little number line, put 0 in the middle, and you can put 20 over here, and you can put negative 20 here. You can just count, you know. It's not accurate, I'm just drawing this to show you. So that way it'll help you with the positive, negative numbers. They need to know where they at first. Where they at. So you need to know that the negative numbers are on this side and the positive numbers on this side. Some sixth graders, whoa, they get wild about negative numbers and like, whoa, is that a real number? I ain't about to get into that. But if I was to say like 5 minus 8, would be tripping. So 5 minus 8. So this means to count backwards. So that goes all the way back to first grade, where you gotta learn how to count front and backwards. I didn't even write that, but that's still important. 5 minus 8. That means you take away, you go back 5, and that'll put you at 0. And then you go back 3 more, which that's a negative 3. So this is a negative 3. That's a big deal in 6th grade. Alright. So another thing is, okay, another thing is I would like for you to practice with them is one of the algebra components where there's missing numbers. Or you can give them a problem like 12 plus, and then you can put a variable into place. A variable is a letter. Okay? Let's say any letter from A to Z. Any letter. So if I would say 12 plus M equals 35. We need to find out what M is. I don't want you going into anything deep with algebra. Just look at it and say what that number is supposed to be. So in order to get that number, you got to subtract this from that. And this, you can get that. Or you can just try to do it on your own, like 12 plus 10 plus, you know, that's going to take a long time. So I would just do this, minus 12, you know. And you're going to move this out the way because that's going to give you 0. So that'll be M equals, so 35 minus 12 will be, what's that? 5 minus 2 is 3. 3 minus 1 is 2. So that'll be 23. Alright? So that's 6th grade. Crazy. Positive, negative numbers. They need to know what a variable is, a letter that just takes the place of a number. See, I just took the place, it's really 23, but we just put M right there, so we need to find out what the answer was, so you can do that. 6th grade. I'm gonna try to say. I like 6th grade. Alright, once again, if you need a multiplication chart, shoot me a message, I'll bring it to you. Let me make sure that the camera's still rolling. Seventh grade. Seventh grade is the same as 6th grade. I'm just gonna go ahead and say that. They need to do the same thing. 7th grade is the same as 6th grade, except for the only thing I would say with 7th grade is the students need to know fractions, decimals, and percents. Yeah, 7th grade. Fractions, decimals, and percent. That's my personal opinion with this one. Fraction, decimals, and percent, because they know how to go from each, change a fraction to a decimal, decimal to a fraction, fraction, percent, all that, so go back and forth. And still know how to do the positive, negative numbers. They need to know how to do operations with fractions and operations with decimals. You know, all that. Dang, that's 5th, 6th, and 7th grade. Yeah, they need to know how to add, subtract, multiply, divide, fractions, and decimals. You know, but can't ask everything. Okay, 8th grade. Yeah. 8th grade, they need to know what inequalities, what they are, and how to do them. How to graph them and all that. Inequalities, that's the greater than, less than, and the greater than equal to, or the less than equal. They need to know how to, they really know how to graph this stuff, like with numbers and stuff like that. It's crazy. You gotta know. And also, they need to know how to do a lot of algebra stuff. So solving multi-step equations. They need to know how to solve these equations with a whole bunch of steps and order of operations. Big deal. So order of operations, big deal. So they need to know that. That's a big thing. They can watch videos just to get themselves acquainted with it. They need to know how to do inequality, solving multi-step equations. Positive, negative numbers again. Let's make sure they know their multiplication. Speed up. 9th grade, this is algebra 1. Most of the time, this is algebra. Algebra 1. The first graduation requirement, algebra 1, with the EOC. You need to know a lot. Alright, but what I'm going to say is solving equations, all kinds. So I would put solving equations, graphing equations, solving equations, graphing equations. They need to know just get an idea of what quadratics are. I'm just going to put the word quadratics. So important stuff for 9th grade: solving equations, graphing equations, and quadratics. Quadratics. Just look it up. There's all kind of ways. System of equations, solving quadratics, quadratic equations, factoring, exponential stuff, absolute value, zeros. It's just a bunch of stuff. So I would just focus on these. You ain't got that kind of math background to be teaching your kids all that. But if you do, get on it. Get on it. 10th grade is geometry. 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 Proofs. Oh my God. Proofs. It's a tough one, but you need to work on that. But I don't think you're good at it at home. I don't think you can leave that to teachers to do that. It's tough. But I ain't gonna even lie. I ain't stunned by the geometry. Like, geometry is my least favorite math subject. But I love to help people with it and do it. I know it. But I'd rather not. Like, I don't want to teach it. I don't like teaching it because it's just, kids get really, really frustrated. And a lot of these curriculum these days don't allow you to do some of the things you need to do to help the kids get to where they need to get in geometry. So, formulas. If you need some formulas, that's the biggest thing. They need to know what formulas and when to use them. They need to know all their formulas and when to use them. If you need me to send them to you, give me an email address or whatever. I can send it to you online, or I can send it to you through a text message or whatever. On inbox, send me a message. I can send you formulas, all the formulas they can practice them. It's a whole sheet of them. I can send you all of them. So formulas and geometry, they need to know parallel and perpendicular, what that means, how they relate to angles. They also need to know what a transversal line is. A transversal line. What that is and what that does to you. What that does and what purpose that serves. So formulas, parallel, perpendicular, transversal line. That's the big deal. Look that up and it'll tell you some angles like corresponding angles, vertical angles, different types of angles. So like parallel, perpendicular, transversal lines, stuff like that. So you need to learn it. What we on? 11th grade? 11th grade. In 11th grade, most kids take algebra 2, but some kids take double up and take 2 classes. I don't know. I'm just going with the generic. So I teach 11th graders, and most of them take algebra 2, unless they doing something. I don't know. All right. So algebra 2 in 11th grade. So algebra 2 is the same as algebra 1, but it's like just a little bit deeper. Okay. I would just say go to your math ACT prep. Math ACT prep. That was my son came in with. Math ACT prep. You can type that in. It'll be all kinds of. They got apps and all that. So they need to be able to be familiar with that, because now on the ACT, this is what they're expecting them to make high school in 11th grade. Because some of them may not take math for 12th grade. Some of them may take something else just to get some extra credit or start indulging in some things that they want to learn for themselves. So, like some kind of career course or something. But math, ACT prep, big deal. And besides, and again, we know their multiplication, because a lot of 11th graders, they just feel like they just know it, they don't want to practice no more. So let them practice, make them still practice, make them understand. I said, if you need one, I'll bring you one, no problem. All right? Well, so math, ACT prep, and that's the same thing for 12th grade. So 12th grade is the same thing. I just changed it. Okay? Yeah, same thing. And they both grades need to understand the ACT score. Understand how important the ACT score is and what schools they can get into. I would require that kids try their hardest to make a 19 in math. I'm gonna just put that on here. 19 in math. People focus on the composite score, but you need to focus on the individual scores too, in order to qualify for certain things in certain schools and certain scholarships. So 19 in math will really be, that's good for a lot of kids. It shows that you have mastered the skill for enough of ability to be accepted into a pretty good school. But if you don't make a 19, you may know the material, you just not a good test taker, but I recommend you make a 19. All right. So, with that being said, if anybody got any questions, I'm gonna grab the phone and see if anybody has any questions right now, and then I can answer those questions, and then we're off. So I mean, appreciate it. If anybody has anything for me,